Have you ever stopped to think about what it really takes to make a space perfectly medically sterile? And I'm not talking about just tidying up your kitchen. We're talking about an invisible battle that's fought every single day in places like pharmaceutical labs, where even one tiny stray particle can cause huge problems. All right, let's pull back and dive into this hidden world.
So what does it actually take? Well, you can forget about a simple mop and bucket. This is a whole different league. It's a super precise, highly regulated, and scientifically proven process. And it's all designed to control something we can't even see: contamination. The goal here? Total, absolute control. And just to be clear, this isn't some nice-to-have best practice. Nope. It is a strict, non-negotiable rule from the regulators. This is where safety and science collide, and honestly, the stakes just don't get any higher.
Okay, let's start with the mission itself: contamination control. You've got to understand what's at stake here. This isn't about making a room look clean. It's about protecting the product and, most importantly, protecting the patient. Think about it. Every single vial of medicine, every sterile instrument, all of it relies on winning this invisible war against microbes and particles. So, first thing we need to do is map out the battlefield. And what's really cool is that a sterile facility isn't just one giant clean room. Not at all. It's actually a series of meticulously designed zones, almost like the layers of a fortress. And yeah, not all of them are created equal. Each one has a specific level of cleanliness, and they all work together to guard the most critical areas.
And this chart lays out that hierarchy perfectly. You've got grade A, that's your inner sanctum, the most critical zone where the product is actually exposed. Then grade B is like a protective buffer zone right around it. And grade C and D, those are the outer walls. Think of the prep areas and changing rooms. Each layer is literally a barrier, protecting the next one in.
So you're probably wondering, how on earth do you keep these spaces that clean? Well, you definitely can't just wing it. It all comes down to a super strict official cleaning program. And as we're about to see, this is a strategy where absolutely nothing is left to chance. Every move is planned, and every single step is backed by solid science. The whole system really stands on these four pillars. You need cleaning procedures that are proven, validated to actually work. You need people who are trained to be experts. Of course, you need the right chemical agents for the job. And this part is so important. You need a system for rotating those agents. And this is where it gets really fascinating. You'd probably think, just use the strongest disinfectant you've got, right? All the time. But here's the twist. If you use the same one over and over again, you're basically training the microbes. You're teaching them how to survive. You actually risk creating superbugs that are resistant to your best weapon. So what's the secret weapon against this? What's the counter strategy? Well, it all comes down to this one number: 3. That's the magic number. It's the minimum number of different disinfectants they have to cycle through, including one that's a sporicidal agent. That's the really heavy-duty stuff. It's all about keeping those microbes guessing. And, it's a brilliant strategy. It's all about changing up the mode of action, which is just a fancy way of saying how each chemical attacks the germs. So by constantly hitting them from different angles, you stop them from ever adapting. It's like a preemptive strike in this constant war, making sure no single bug can ever get the upper hand. Okay, so we've covered the what. Now let's get into the how, the actual cleaning techniques. This is where that precision we talked about is everything. This is where the training really, really matters. I mean, we're talking about a level of detail that's, well, it's less like cleaning and more like performing a carefully choreographed ballet. And the logic behind it is just perfect. You always move from the cleanest zone to the least clean zone. That way you're never dragging dirt back into the sterile heart of the operation. And you always clean from top to bottom. Why? Gravity. You let gravity do some of the work, making sure any particles fall down to the floor, which, of course, gets cleaned last.
And check this out. Even something as simple as wiping a surface is totally regimented. You have to use these deliberate one-way strokes. So why not just wipe in circles like we all do at home? Well, because circles just smear the germs around. These one-way strokes physically lift and remove them. It is pure efficiency on a microscopic scale.
Okay, here's another huge concept: contact time. And it's pretty much what it sounds like. See, just swiping a surface with a disinfectant isn't enough. The chemical needs time to actually work its magic. The surface has to stay visibly wet for a specific, validated amount of time, usually somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes, to guarantee that it's killed all the nasty stuff. All right, so after all of that, after the careful zoning, the smart chemical rotation, those super precise cleaning techniques, you get to the final and maybe most important stage: proving it worked. Verifying the sterile state. How do you prove you won an invisible battle? You can't just eyeball it and say, looks good. You have to prove it scientifically.
Right. The key takeaway here is that the whole process ends with proof. As they say, hope is not a strategy. These facilities have to collect cold, hard data that shows the environment is exactly as clean as it's required to be. And how do they do that? They use all these different methods. Things like settle plates, which are basically petri dishes left out to catch anything falling from the air. They use swab tests on surfaces. They even have machines that actively sample the air. These are the tools that let them see the invisible, giving them that final scientific thumbs up on cleanliness.
And that pretty much wraps it up for us. When you see the insane level of detail that goes into creating just one sterile room, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other complex, invisible systems are out there working behind the scenes every single day just to keep us safe?